This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. An unlikely friendship begins in the Paramount Plus original movie Little Wing, starring Brooklyn Prince with Kelly Riley and Brian Cox. Reeling from her parents' divorce, Caitlin steals a valuable bird to save her home, but instead forms a bond with the owner, leading to a new outlook on life. Little Wing, now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. Head to ParamountPlus.com to try it free. Rated PG-13.
Dreaming of a better sleep? Tossing and turning is not your destiny. And Ollie is here to help. Ollie invites you to sink into sweet, sweet slumber to improve your mental and physical health and overall wellness. More than just melatonin, Ollie's ingredients help you unwind your mind for a delightfully dreamy drift off. Sleep is on the way at Ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
Does Monday at the office feel like a storm? Not with Microsoft Copilot. That feeling when Copilot gets everyone up to speed instantly? It's sunny again. When Copilot simplifies complex data so your teams can act, that sun's shining on a beach. And when Copilot uncovers hidden insights, you're on that beach with your people, and you find buried treasure. That's Microsoft Copilot. Learn more at Microsoft.com/AI for all.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Hey y'all, we're taking this week off from recording an episode of Millennial, but the good news is that we are releasing a recent installment of After Dark to the public instead. In this After Dark from February, we discussed the concept of loud budgeting and how we manage activities with our friends when ideas are looking expensive. Are we comfortable enough with our friends to speak up when we can't afford to do something? And where do we draw lines? Look, girl, I don't want to spend gas money and listen to you complain about your ex for 3 hours.
New After Dark installments are released every week. Plus, there's a host of other benefits like access to our planning meetings. Our executive producer, patron Morgan, recently said, listening to these meetings is so beyond fascinating to me. I love hearing the inner workings of the show. Aw, thank you, Morgan.
Aww.
That's so sweet.
You can visit patreon.com/millennial to learn more.
If you're an Apple Podcast listener, you can tap into the show to access our paid Mega Millennial subscription, which gets you ad-free access to the show and After Dark attached to the end of each episode. Now, please enjoy this installment of After Dark. So, as we teased on the main show, we're continuing our friendship series in After Dark. And this week, we are going to start things off by talking about this new term that I saw floating around on TikTok at the start of the year. It's called loud budgeting. And basically, it just encourages participants to be vocal with people in their life about making money conscious decisions. So the idea is that you're taking back control of your finances, especially in an age when inflation is causing a lot of the prices to skyrocket. So the TikTok user that I first saw talking about this is named Lucas Battle. And they said, quote, "It's not, I don't have enough. It's, I don't want to spend. If your friend texts you, I want to hang out, you say, I don't want to spend gas money on coming to you to hear you talk about your ex for 3 hours." So maybe you don't quite say that, but I think that like the general idea of this is interesting, right? Because I think that a lot of times, especially when you're young, you kind of struggle to keep up with the friends that you want to go out with. And sometimes people have more expendable income than you do. And since we've been talking about friendship dynamics, we thought that it would be interesting to kind of unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, I wanted to start off by asking you all if you're comfortable enough with your friends to say, I can't afford to do that right now, or I don't want to spend money right now.
At this stage in my life, yes. 10 years ago, no.
I feel you.
Same.
What's changed? Just the length of the friendships?
Yeah, I think the length of the relationships, but also just security in myself. And also having been around the block at this point in life and realizing like, yeah, if I feel that way, I guarantee you the other person either feels that way or has felt that way at some point in time. So they're going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but when you're young and you're earlier on in friendships, I think you're a little more concerned about appearances and what it might say about your commitment to the friendship or like the quality that you might bring to the friendship, whether you can or can't participate in something on the basis of, you know, having the financial ability to do so. So I think it, you know, for me, it was maybe more rooted in just insecurities in general.
And with a new friendship, you might want to fit in. You want to make your friend happy.
Yeah.
And that means saying, yeah, sure, I'll spend all this money on something I secretly don't actually want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think even with my newer friendships, we've been pretty good thus far at just saying, no, we don't want to spend that money or can't afford it. And I'll get into this in a little bit, but a couple friends here go on vacations seemingly a lot. And a couple weeks ago, Pat straight up said, I just can't afford that right now when we were invited on a trip. And people understand that. Everybody's got different financial situations. So it shouldn't be something you should be disappointed in if you get turned down because somebody can't spend the money. Everybody has vastly different financial situations and priorities. Like one person might like spending their money on vacations while the other person might prefer using more of their disposable income to invest in the financial markets. Plus with student loans and healthcare and this and that.
So glad you brought up student loans because I know when I had to start paying mine back in, you know, probably like my early mid-20s or something like that, it was really hard for me to broach that subject with friends who just like, I felt like I would say, I can't afford to do that. And it just like, they weren't listening. And sometimes they would give, like they would try to give advice, like just saying like, oh, just like save more money. It's like, I don't think you understand that, like, I'm not getting paid enough to like afford to save that much. So like, I cannot then open another savings account or like save money to go on this like massive girls vacation that you want to do. Like, do I wish I could do that? Yes. But also I was not fortunate enough to have my student loans paid for me. I have to pay these back. So like, I can't save, you know, I cannot save for that thing. That's an extra expense. It's not necessary. But I feel like sometimes people take that so personally because all they hear is you don't want to go on vacation with them or you don't want to go have like a good time with them, which is like not the case at all. It's just you can't afford it.
I definitely used to be a people pleaser, and it would be difficult for me to be really honest about what I was experiencing. But now as I've gotten older and have experienced life, I'm just like, I just don't give a shit what people think anymore. I'm going to be honest. And if you don't like it, then it's not really a genuine relationship.
You got to protect yourself first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And to that point, Michelle in our Discord is saying, I don't want to be friends with someone who expects me to struggle financially just to hang out or whatever. And I think that is perfectly said. I mean, it really does become a reflection on the quality of the friendship if you have someone who's constantly trying to pressure you to do something that you don't want to do or that you're not comfortable with.
And what you could do is if they, you know, we've been bringing up the vacation example, but let's say somebody invites you to a concert and you just can't afford that right now. Hey, I would have loved to have gone. I can't afford it, but hey, can we get coffee next week? Or can we just hang out in the park next week? I'll bring us a little wine and cheese set or whatever. There's alternative ideas that you can propose to people that are going to be cheaper. Also, if a friend invites you out to dinner, hey, instead of going to a restaurant, can we just do takeout? That'll keep it a little cheaper in a lot of cases. Or, hey, just come over and I'll cook for you. That would probably be even cheaper. So you could just always ask your friends to do like alternative versions that are going to cost you potentially far less. I think one challenge here when meeting new people is going on the friend dates. It's pretty expensive if you're going out to restaurants all the time or bars. So you got to start inviting people over for dinner, or just, hey, I'm going to order us Domino's. You guys just come over tonight and we'll watch TV and eat this delicious pizza.
Yeah. I like that you brought up the concert example too, because I really appreciated how we went about getting Taylor Swift tickets for the Eras Tour last year, just me and my friends and my brother. It definitely helps that we've known each other for a really long time, but it was just nice to know that we had, like, before the tickets even went on sale, because I think a lot of times two people just like spend, they don't think about it. And so like the one person that's buying just goes, oh, I'll just buy whatever is available. But because we had discussed it beforehand, we were just like, okay, is everybody comfortable? How much is everybody comfortable spending out the door? And we came up with a number. Everybody agreed. And then we knew that the person buying tickets, shout out to my friend Yuki, was going to make sure that we did not go over that by like more than maybe $20. And she stuck to that budget. And I think that that's really great. But I know that for every like one person or one friend group that operates that way, there's probably like a bunch of others where like the person impulse buys and they end up spending, $200 more than maybe like one person thought they were going to have to shell out. So
It's so funny you bring that up about, Taylor Swift tour, because I was that one friend who was like, wait a second, these are like it's too good of a deal. We have to spend a little bit more. But I mean, I texted everybody ahead of time. They're like, no, do it. Because it was too good to be true. But it definitely was a little bit more than what we wanted.
Yeah. As long as everyone agrees, and then like we did have like some people that like ended up coming with us in addition to like the three of us. When we started out, there was just the three of us that knew. But like, they were just like, whatever you guys want to spend is fine. So it's like great for them. I'm glad that I was part of this budgeting meeting because I just like to be prepared. So I know how much I need to set aside,
We need to start a new trend on TikTok that goes further than loud budgeting. Just loud everything in your loud boundary setting or something. One of our very first friend date, the couple that we met ended the friend date saying, hey, what time do you guys go to bed? And that question initially caught me off guard. But in hindsight, I ended up loving that question, and I ask it to other people too, because then you start learning what people's boundaries are in terms of how late they like to stay out at night. And I think that's so helpful for planning nights. Like, oh yeah, we'll go to a movie at 6:30. It'll be done by like 8:30, and then you're home in bed by 9:30. Your time that you love to go to bed. It initially felt like such a personal question. I never discussed that with people before. So stuff like that. What time do you get up in the morning? What are your work hours? That one's a little more common, but what time do you go to bed? What time do you like to have dinner? Stuff like that. What type of games do you like to play? Just prod a little bit.
I think that's a good thing. And I think also, like, to the point, I think, Morgan, you had mentioned earlier how people-pleasing tendencies can sometimes cause us to betray ourselves. I think setting boundaries with how quickly you respond to people and when you respond to people when they're trying to text you is a big thing. So if somebody texts you after you lay down to go to bed, do you really need to jump up and like grab the phone and respond to them right away? Probably not. Do you need to respond right away if you're eating dinner? No. I think that's a really healthy way you can set boundaries too with people, is by showing like, hey, when I'm busy, I'm not going to prioritize responding to you all the time, unless, of course, there's something, really pressing going on. But I think there are ways that you can demonstrate that you set boundaries without even necessarily setting the boundary formally.
One of the most common things I've seen with boundaries is that people think like, oh, they didn't respect my boundaries. They did something. But boundaries aren't necessarily about the other people respecting them and more about us holding them for ourselves. So not saying like, hey, don't text me at night, but rather just not answering when they do text you at night, because we can't control what other people do.
Apple added, you can mark a text as unread in the last couple of years. I think Android probably had that for longer, but that's really helpful. You read that text, you're like, I'll reply tomorrow. You mark it unread, then tomorrow you'll remember to do it.
That's a good tip. Has anybody here ever struggled with keeping up with friends who have more expendable income than we do? I know, Andrew, you wanted to make some points about vacation.
Yeah, so I mentioned Pat said, I don't want to go on this, I guess it was a cruise because I don't have the money right now. A couple of couples that we've met here do like to go on cruises a lot. And good for them, happy for them. And they've invited us to go with them. And that does mean a lot. They would want to go on vacation with us because you're traveling together, you're spending an extended amount of time together. But we don't want to spend the money going on these things with them regularly. Now, as I talked about last week, we have yet to go on a cruise. I would love to go on a cruise. It seems like it makes a lot of sense that my first cruise will be with the friends that we have out here. But I don't want to go more than even once a year at most, because that shit's expensive. You got to take time off. Another thing with these people, they seem to be able to give pretty short notice for when they take off. Pat needs to give like at least 2 weeks notice, I think even more. With our podcasts, we have an expectation behind the scenes that we give as much advance notice as possible, unless there's sickness. We like to give at least like 2 weeks notice. So these people like go on cruises with like a week's notice. I can't do that to you guys. And what am I going to do about my work too, outside of these 2 podcasts that we do weekly? Like, it's tough. I love what I do, but I also kind of envy these jobs where you can just be like, yeah, I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks. Bye.
Yeah. That's not really a realistic thing to expect from other people, though. Like, good for them that they can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't really think they can be expecting you and Pat to be able to do the same thing, because that is just not the circumstance that most people have in their jobs. I think I've talked about this a little bit in After Dark before, but I had this experience when I was living in Costa Rica. So I was teaching. So already as a teacher, I was not making a lot of money, and I was also earning local wages. So I was earning what the locals earn, which looks very different to an American coming to vacation in Costa Rica with their American dollars. And something I came across almost every time I had a friend or family member come from the States was this mismatch. Like, there was a huge gap where it was like, I would want to go to the beach with them, but my idea of going to the beach on local wages was, we're going to stay in a hostel and we're going to eat at like the cheapest like local restaurants we can find. And their idea of what they were looking for was different. Fair enough. They were on vacation, right? And it was just that difference of like, they were on vacation, but I was just living my life because I lived there and I wasn't on vacation. And that could always be really uncomfortable when somebody you could tell they really, really wanted to do something to be the odd man out who couldn't afford to do the thing. Or if I did stretch my budget to make it so I could afford the thing, I wouldn't be able to like buy groceries for the rest of the month. So that was always really uncomfortable. And I was also a lot younger. This was like 10 years ago, actually over 10 years ago for me at this point. And now I feel a lot more self-assured in asserting myself in moments like that. But at the time, I was definitely uncomfortable. I'm wondering, though, have any of us ever had to deal with someone making assumptions one way or the other about how much we make?
I get that all the time. People are like, you're a doctor, you must be loaded.
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, I wish, but not a medical doctor. I'm definitely not making loads of money. And I think people also have the misconception that therapists shouldn't charge. that they want to help people. So they should.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. People actually think that.
You didn't know that it was morgantherapy.org?
.charity. I think, like, yes, I'm very proud to own a home, that I was able to do that. It doesn't mean I have a lot of disposable income. It doesn't mean I'm going on vacation once a month. Does anybody ever see me go on vacation unless I can drive there? The answer is no. I don't fly to Hawaii. I don't go to England or overseas anywhere else. Like, I do very little traveling outside of what I can drive.
You're a national park girly.
Yeah, I got plenty of national parks to knock out.
I would also add, too, that I just think that because you and I are both in creative fields, the assumption most people have is like, if they can afford to be in creative fields, then they must be making bank, which is not the case, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm very grateful that I can make a living doing what I do, but also like, am I making as much as, you know, someone who's a doctor? Definitely not, you know, or like a surgeon or something like that.
And the thing is, I saw a TikTok about this a few months ago. Even when you do get a raise, let's say you do get a promotion, you get a raise. Okay, yeah, you'll start making more money, but now you can actually start affording things you've been needing to afford. It's not like suddenly, oh, I've just got all this disposable income. I can just go on vacation all the time. No, now I actually can buy high quality clothing. Now I can pay off my student debts. Now I can actually go to a salon that does a better job with my haircut. Now I can finally get the root canal that I needed. I don't know. It's like just getting raises often doesn't mean you're comfortable. It just means now you can do more of the things that you need to do.
Yeah, it's almost like just so you can breathe.
Yeah, and you owe more taxes.
You owe more taxes. Yeah.
Plus everything's more expensive. Like gas is more expensive, food's more expensive, rent increases, you know, you get a little bit more and you're like, I could breathe for a year and then everything's going to go up again.
Yeah, exactly. I know somebody over in England, they told me they make $200K. I'm like, holy fuck. And they were like, yeah, half of that goes back to the government. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, but they have free healthcare.
Yeah. But this person supports their partner a lot too. So there goes a lot of money as well. It's like, again, everybody's got a different situation. Maybe it's their fault. Maybe it's not. And then again, like you start making more money and you just become able to afford things that you've needed, but you haven't spent money on.
Well, this is actually a pretty good transition into this little sidebar. Andrew, you specifically have some thoughts on this, right? Like, so do we suspect that some of our friends that we see living more grand lifestyles than we do? Do we suspect that maybe they're going into debt to vacation, to do it for the plot, if you will, to spend
for
big?
The plot?
Yeah.
I thought you would say for the grid or something, like just to show it off on social media.
Well, that too, but do it for the plot is like the new do it for the gram.
Yeah, it's a figure
it's like
of
the plot of your life, like your character plot.
Well, I mean, we do often hear spend money on experiences, not things. So instead of buying a new iPhone every year, you know, go to your first national park or take your first cruise, whatever. I guess some people are just very experience driven, very vacation driven. There are those people who just live for vacations. I was talking with somebody at a Super Bowl party yesterday who was like, I can't even bring up, he said this jokingly, but I can't even bring up travel plans in front of my partner anymore because he thinks I talk about them too much. This guy in particular, this is the cruise guy I was talking about before. He loves going on cruises.
I definitely have a couple of friends who I feel like either have immense family wealth that I'm just not aware of, or are just living way outside their means. And part of that is some of their attitudes are kind of like very fatalist in thinking like, our generation's not going to get to retire anyway, so fuck it. And I'm like, I don't really know that you're setting yourself up very well with that mentality. Don't get me wrong. I understand the tendency and the frustration and feeling that way, but maybe like split the difference. And instead of all this extra money you're spending on material things and experiences, maybe do half and half, like save half, spend half on yourself would be better than just saying fuck savings.
Well, to wrap things up here, we thought that it would be nice to hear from Morgan. And we specifically wanted to ask you your advice as a therapist here. So if somebody is struggling to broach the subject of discussing budget limits or even like setting boundaries, like you were saying, what kind of things would you suggest that they say to their friends?
Well, I really liked Andrew's suggestions earlier about coming up with another more affordable option. I think that would be really helpful. And then if somebody is pressuring you, it's okay to say, kind of like we were talking about with the love languages, I feel really anxious or pressured when you keep bringing this up to me. And I know you might not mean it, but I have a lot of, I don't know if I want to say anxiety, but maybe concerns about money right now. So I really can't do that. But it doesn't mean I don't want to spend time with you. Because also some people might not realize that they are pressuring. People don't have a lot of self-awareness, unfortunately.
One of the most important traits to have, in my opinion. But yeah, and just to circle back on like the more affordable alternatives, it's going to go a long way if you say, I can't do that for reasons XYZ, but let's do this instead. Because it's like, oh, they still want to hang out with me. It's not like they're just saying no because they don't want to hang out with me. Great tips, Morgan. Thank you again for your expertise.
Thank you. I hope it's helpful to somebody.
It is.
Send us an invoice for 2 hours of therapy. I think that's what we owe you for. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Now get access to many more installments of After Dark, in which we often get open and honest about our lives by signing up for an Apple Podcast subscription or by visiting patreon.com/millennial. Thanks again, and we will see you next week.